I started running out there in 87 on a fairly regular basis and realized how, even though the flower gardens are 100 miles offshore, the corals are still delicate. They're subject to mechanical damage from boat anchors, chains, and I became very, very attached to the flower gardens and Stetson Bank both. Now, there had been talk for some time about trying to create a National Marine Sanctuary designation for the flower gardens. We started having public hearings. I would think that would have been in 89, where they were in Houston, where any interested parties, anybody from the Sierra Club to sport divers to oil company reps, could come and give their 2 cents worth at these public hearings. And it was pretty interesting. I had my agenda based on experience from my Florida Keys days. The Florida Keys, back then, it was Pennekamp Park. And then they made the Pennekamp Park, instead of going out past the reef line, they changed the boundaries to where Pennekamp State Park only went out 3 miles. And then beyond that, it was the Key Largo National Marine Sanctuary. But the park was not that big. It went from Carysfort Light down to Molasses Reef Light. And from there was a gap all the way from, this would be off of Key Largo, all the way down to Big Pine Key. There was unprotected. The next sanctuary was Looce Key, which was very small. It was one reef sanctuary. And I saw the effect, even though diving, of course, was allowed in the park, fishing was allowed in the park, but no spearfishing was allowed in the park. If you dove at Molasses Reef, you were surrounded with fish, thousands of fish, big schools of all variations of fish, big groupers, big snappers that would swim out and look at you, looking for a handout. Whereas if you went literally a quarter of a mile away over to a reef down towards Pickles Reef, which was out of the sanctuary, if you saw a grouper, you saw his tail because he was taken off in the opposite direction. The fish life was sparse in comparison to just right over there. They seemed to know the park boundaries, where they were safe and where they weren't. So I went into these public hearings with the attitude that, number one, obviously the reef itself needs to be protected some way, shape, or form to prevent anchoring and anchor damage. In addition to that, no spearfishing. That was one of my lines in the sand.